The South China Sea, a mysterious and vibrant sea area, has always been the focus of the world's attention. Not only does it have abundant marine resources and numerous islands, but it is also an important channel for international trade and shipping, so it is also known as the world's main maritime trade route. However, the ownership of these islands has been disputed throughout history. Until recently, China successfully regained control of the largest island and reef in the South China Sea, with a total area of more than 8,400 square kilometers. This incident has aroused widespread concern and heated discussions around the world. People have speculated about the value and significance of this island and reef. So, what impact did it have on China's strategic significance? The South China Sea is a sea area between Southeast Asia and mainland China, which covers an area of about 3.5 million square kilometers. There are many islands in the South China Sea, including the Nansha Islands, Shisha Islands, and Zhongsha Islands. The total area of these islands has reached more than 50,000 square kilometers. However, there have always been territorial disputes in this sea area, among which the territorial dispute between China and the Philippines is one of the core disputes in the South China Sea. The main dispute between China and the Philippines in the South China Sea is some islands and reefs of China's Nansha Islands. Internationally, Philippine officials have always insisted that these islands and reefs belong to the territory of the Philippines, while China insists that these islands and reefs belong to China's territory. So, what is the important value of these islands in the South China Sea? Why has it caused fierce competition between China and the Philippines? In fact, there are very rich marine resources in the South China Sea, especially oil and natural gas resources. According to statistics, the South China Sea region has about 1.1 billion tons of oil reserves and 1.9 trillion cubic meters of natural gas reserves, and is one of the largest oil and gas production places in the world. In addition, there are abundant fishery resources in the South China Sea. For China, the fishery resources in the South China Sea are very important. The fishery output value in the South China Sea region reached about 110 billion yuan in 2019, of which China accounted for a large share. In addition, on many islands in the South China Sea, there are also abundant marine energy resources, such as ocean wind energy and ocean tidal energy. The South China Sea region is also one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. More than half of the world's trade in goods passes through the South China Sea every year, totaling $5 trillion. In this area, there are many ports and routes, which provide important support for the development of the world economy. However, in order to compete for territory in the South China Sea, the Philippines has deployed hundreds of soldiers, dozens of military installations and equipment to the South China Sea, and has repeatedly invited the United States to interfere with China's behavior in the South China Sea. In this context, China firmly opposes any country's illegal activities and provocative actions in the South China Sea, and will take necessary measures to safeguard its territorial sovereignty and maritime rights and interests. Today, with the gradual improvement of China's military strength, China has carried out large-scale reclamation and island-building projects in the South China Sea, aiming to strengthen its control over the South China Sea. According to international media reports, China has reclaimed more than 3,200 acres of islands in the South China Sea, equivalent to the size of 50 football fields. Not only airports and docks have been established on these islands, but also a large number of military facilities and weapons have been deployed. At the same time, China has taken back control of the largest island and reef in the South China Sea through various methods. This huge island and reef is the Zhongsha Islands. The Nansha Islands consist of more than 200 coral reefs and islands. One of the largest coral reefs is the Zhongsha Islands. The Zhongsha Islands, located in the southeast of the Spratly Islands, is one of the largest coral reefs in the South China Sea, covering an area of 13,000 square kilometers, which is twice the size of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of China. It consists of 47 coral reefs, arranged in a ring, with a submarine lake about 80 meters deep in the middle. Although the Zhongsha Islands has a small land area and small islands and reefs, with only 3 islands exceeding 1 square kilometer, it is a treasure trove of marine ecosystems with a wide variety of corals, fish and other creatures. Now that the Zhongsha Islands in the South China Sea have been taken back by China, what role will it play in China in the future? First of all, the Zhongsha Islands have important strategic significance for sea routes. The Zhongsha Islands, located in the center of the South China Sea, is the only way for maritime traffic in the South China Sea, and it is also an important sea channel between China's southeast coast and ASEAN countries. About 500,000 ships pass through this sea area every year. The sea area where the Zhongsha Islands is located is one of the main waterways in the South China Sea. China can build modern seaport facilities and storage equipment here, which will not only store more goods, but also make the transshipment of goods more efficient and convenient. More importantly, from the Strait of Malacca to the Zhongsha Islands, it is one of the important shipping routes connecting Europe and Asia. The Zhongsha Islands will become one of the most important transit points for Eurasian shipping trade after the land reclamation. It is estimated that more than 90% of seaborne trade in the future will be transshipped, replenished and distributed in the Zhongsha Islands. This will make the Zhongsha Islands likely to become an important trade center for Southeast Asia, China, Japan, South Korea and other Asian countries. Secondly, the Zhongsha Islands area is very rich in resources, and the potential oil and natural gas resources in the surrounding waters are huge. A report by the China University of Petroleum pointed out that there are abundant oil and gas reserves around the Zhongsha Islands, reaching 34 billion and 200 billion cubic meters respectively. These energy resources are crucial to China's economic development, as China is currently one of the world's largest energy consumers. In addition to oil and natural gas resources, the Zhongsha Islands area is also a sea area rich in fishery resources. The area is home to a wide variety of fish, including different species of fish, lobsters, and shellfish. However, due to the disputed South China Sea, fishermen face certain safety risks when working at sea. Now China has control over the Zhongsha Islands, providing Chinese fishermen with a safer, more stable and sustainable fishing environment. Finally, the Zhongsha Islands are of great strategic significance to China's maritime strategy and military security. In the South China Sea dispute, China has always believed that the Zhongsha Islands are an inalienable part of its territory, so it has sovereignty over some of the islands. Once China has control over the Zhongsha Islands, it can effectively safeguard its sovereignty and security interests, and even curb the interference and provocations of other countries. Of course, the Zhongsha Islands can also serve as an important military base for China in the South China Sea. At present, China has built 7 artificial islands in the Nansha Islands. Among them, Yongqing Island in the Nansha Islands and Yongqing Island in the Shisha Islands are relatively large, including ports, runways, and military facilities. These facilities have strengthened China's military layout in the South China Sea and improved its military strength and combat capability. This is of great importance to China, because the South China Sea is an important strategic position for China's navy and sea power, and it is also a key area for China's operations in the open sea and maritime defense. Now China has been committed to building a modern maritime power, which is inseparable from the control of the South China Sea islands. Only in this way can China enhance its military influence in the South China Sea, and even improve its strategic position in the South China Sea. So, do you think China is doing the right thing?